by Harold Macmillan, the then Prime Minister. And when I look around the room, some of us were not born in 1960. But it's worth reminding some of those words that were said by that Prime Minister. Macmillan had spent a month visiting various countries in Africa, ending up in South Africa, where he warned the members of that parliament, quote, "The wind of change is blowing through this continent. Whether we like it or not, this growth of national consciousness is a political fact," end of quote. And of course, Belfoot, the then leader of South Africa, apartheid South Africa, was quick to say it could be dust storms from the desert, what you're referring to. 1960 was a momentous year for South Africa. It was the year of the Sharpeville massacre, and in which the liberation movements were banned, among other significant events. History has shown that Macmillan was spot on with his prediction. I have used this analogy at other times when we gathered on this island to conduct a ceremony of cleansing it from the evil that had perpetrated on it. I used it again in 2007 when a group of Anglicans gathered in Boksburg to come up with groundbreaking response to the challenge of HIV and AIDS. And I'm using it again here today, here on Robben Island. We are today at a crossroads in our country. The winds of change are blowing again. In the more than 20 years since our democratic elections, some have become complacent and no longer feel the wind. We have allowed a morally bankrupt leadership to entrench itself. We have turned a blind eye to the desperation of vulnerable, poverty-stricken people. Some have become stinkingly rich, while others still grind out a daily existence in shacks without the most basic facilities. Our students have been driven to the edge of anarchy in their struggle to get affordable education. Make no mistake, that wind is blowing again. Many will respond to me by pointing to the progress we've made in service delivery, housing, and healthcare. And of course, they will be correct. We have made some progress. But we have also squandered opportunities. In the 1990s, I pleaded with government to abandon the arms deal. I vigorously debated the need that we don't have to service the apartheid odious debt. I proposed in 1998 that we develop a Marshall Plan, a large-scale economic rescue scheme for education. If we had done so, we could today be adequately funding our tertiary institutions. I was, of course, ignored. And today, we are in an educational crisis, if not resolved, could see the demise of our tertiary institutions within a decade. Had government listened in the 1990s, we would not be in the untenable situation in which we now find ourselves. It is concerning that National Treasury has not budgeted for a 0% increase in university fees this year, and that the financial sustainability of universities is depending increasingly on students themselves. It is also deeply distressing to note that the private sector contributions to tertiary education are declining. We cannot continue along this path. It is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. Minister Zimbabwe's proposal a few days ago, though addressing the needs of poor students, it's a short-term situation in trying to resolve this problem. There are other ways of funding a Marshall Plan for education, such as an education tax. Another possibility is for companies to contribute a fixed portion of their turnover to fund tertiary education. After all, they are the ones who will benefit from the skills that are transferred to our universities. Having urged government to abandon the arms deal in the 1990s, my call today to government is fund a Marshall Plan for education. Forget about nuclear power. Leading energy academic experts such as Professor Anton Eberhard of UCT tell us that there is no rational reason for proceeding with nuclear energy. I've learned that from our courts, a rational reason. A video of Earth-Life, Alta, and Safkey warns that a nuclear deal will see South Africa's debt rise from just under 2 trillion rand to 3 trillion rand, an increase of nearly 50%. We simply cannot afford that. Anyone who runs a household knows that you can't increase your household debt by half and think that you will cope. Why can't our government understand this simple equation? If we go the nuclear route, there is no way we will solve the education crisis, either now or in the future. But it is seldom too late to try and save the situation. As a Christian, I'm a firm believer in hope for the future. And however difficult and dismal our present situation may be, if government and private sector were to take the initiative and come up with a comprehensive, well thought out and generously funded long-term plan, I believe that will go a long way towards persuading students that their plight is being heard and that meaningful action is being implemented. But we need to act now. We cannot wait any longer. Remember, in 1956, the apartheid government closed our quality secondary schools, which produced leaders of integrity and caliber. I'm referring to schools like Lovedale, Hilltown, Lamana, Tiger Grove, and so on and so forth. If we don't act now in terms of universities, in a decade's time, it will be said that this generation, that is us, closed down our universities and added them to the ghost institutions of our continent. Remember, Places like Makerere in Uganda, Ibadan in Nigeria, Legon in Ghana were once vibrant centers of learning. Today, they don't feature among the top 500 in the world. If you don't take action now, we will find ourselves no longer in that top 500 list. As I look around this room today, I'm heartened to see a good representation of young people. When I spent time here on this island, I was, of course, a young man. Of course, my definition of age is that we're all young. The only difference is that some of us have been young a longer time than others. Thinking back to the island in 1963, I recall how a dream that the CEO referred to was born as I lay on a cold cement floor one night. It was a dream not just for South Africa, but for the whole of Africa. The quest for an Africa whose children are liberated, educated, and have all the basic essentials for a decent and dignified life. I saw an Africa that allowed her children to realize their full potentials, be it in science, music, art, technology, and of course theology, and any other field. I had a vision of an Africa where all our children had choices for their futures and were able to achieve their own dreams. That dream has remained with me and motivated me in all my life. As prisoners, we faced many hardships on the island, but we were kept motivated by the fact that our vision for freedom and liberation would be realized. As young men and women, we were angry